Hi everyone, it's Anya Parampil. I'm here in Washington, D.C. Super disappointed I couldn't be there in London with all of you, but this time last week I was gathered with around 4,000 people here in the US Capitol to rage against the very same war machine and what's really a transatlantic evil empire that you all in London are also showing up to oppose today. And something that I've been thinking about since our event in DC is the point that I want to stress about how I do really believe we are living through a world war. And that's because world wars are really about fighting over a shift in the way the international order functions or how the countries around the world relate with one another. And what we're witnessing now is the growing pains of a new world. Ever since the collapse of the Soviet Union, the US and its partners thought they had free range of the world, that there was no more counter to its international hegemonic system. They were forever going to control the cultural, political, and financial networks of the globe. And that just ended up not being the case. The US and NATO got away with it for so long throughout the Middle East and the war on terror as it attempted to entrench its control of what it considered to be the Eastern bloc of the global sphere. But they eventually took it too far. When they went to Syria, they kind of took that conflict right to Russia's front door. And Russia stepped in and said, look, it's not going to happen. The US got away with a lot of destruction in Syria, but it didn't turn into Iraq or Libya because there was another power there ready to confront the United States and its allies. The same thing happened in Ukraine. The US and NATO axis believed they could just continue to encroach on Russia's neighborhood and eventually take their regime change operations all the way once again to Russia's front door. And that's what happened in 2014 through the Maidan coup and the subsequent war. We all know, I'm sure many speakers have addressed the fact that Russia entered this war not by choice, but because it was forced to. And what we're really seeing now is a fight over the future of the global order. The United States either being able to continue getting its way, or whether or not Russia, China, Iran, and other powerful nations are going to come together and create an alternative to the Brussels, Washington, and London axis. And I think it's happening before our very eyes. That's why it's our responsibility as citizens of that transatlantic evil empire to say we want to be a part of that world. We want to be part of a world that is based on respect and sovereignty and mutually beneficial negotiations. It can be a bright future for all of us, but we first have to take on the elite that are making the calls from Washington to London to Berlin. And that's why the most powerful thing we can do right now is say, no more NATO. We need an end to NATO. We need to use that money on spending on social programs and reinvest it in our societies here in the United States and in Europe's case, throughout Europe. Though we have been subsidizing your militaries for long enough that you guys have some nicer social programs over there, I will say. I think it's our turn in the United States to get some of that, and that we need to be very clear whether it is the siege, the economic siege and blockade of Venezuela, whether it's the occupation of Syria's oil fields, or whether it's the fact that now we have some power players in Washington trying to convince the U.S. public that they need to be concerned about the security of Taiwan, an island on the other side of the world. It's all part of the same international war for control that our elites are waging all the way up to Ukraine. They're ready to fight to the very last Ukrainian, to the death of the last Ukrainian. I think that is a moral sin, and it's not something that I want to be a part of. What I want to be a part of is what you have in London, what we're building here in the United States, and I think this is just the beginning of the public of the transatlantic evil empire awakening and saying, look, we reject what our elites have done. We want to be a part of the beautiful future that this world can offer. If we give up the chains of war and say that peace and diplomacy and coming together is really the future that we want. So thanks to all of you for for listening to me today, for including me, and I hope to be able to give a more meaningful statement with you all in person sometime in the near future.